negative 1.
Welcome back to another Plasticon review. Today we're going to cover another Generation 2. When I'm talking G2, I'm talking Generation 2 Fireflight. G2 Fireflight is slightly different than his original. The original had different stickers, and this is actually a more on the pinkish side of the red spectrum compared to the original red. That's really the only difference between Fireflight and this version, other than the stamping and the stickers. He is an F4 Phantom. This is one of my favorite jets, and I love this jet just because this was what the equivalent was. The military was like challenged to make a brick fly, and this is pretty much what they came up with. And this thing performed not the best, but it still performed pretty well, enough that they actually used them in combat back during Vietnam. These are really, really cool jets, honestly. I always love these jets. I just have a real soft spot for this jet. For some reason, it's just the style of it. I always loved the idea that it had lower wings, that had a little bit of a swoop up, the brickish style fuselage, with the fact that it's just like this big old, like, ugly looking nose cone here. I just love this thing. And then these weird swept down wings. It's just something about this always screamed amazing to me. I just thought it was cool. It was a feat of engineering, and I've always been a big fan of it. Taking a quick look at him though, he does have a lot of panel lining. It's kind of hard to see on the tail. Throughout here he could have had a little bit more, but they didn't really do much for the panel lining. They could have done a little more there. Other than that, I mean, he's got really good detail on the cockpit area. He has a little bit of detail here kind of flowing into the back. Now, the original one, the entire cockpit would have went all the way to here. It's funny how this is molded, but they never painted this to go all the way up here. I've been very tempted to do that several times, but I never have done it. It's got a little rubbery type of nose cone, which is very, very remnants of, like, you know, all the aerial bots had this little kind of a rubber nose type of thing. I think the originals had a very first run where these weren't, but I don't know, for safety reasons they made these rubber on the end, which is kind of funny because if you look at the original Seekers, all the original Seekers had rubber nose cones too, so, you know, it's kind of a thing. I don't know. Planes have to have a rubbery nose so you can bounce it off something. I don't know. No big deal. He does have his Autobot emblem and his Autobot tampling right here on the bottom. It's all in yellow. Kind of hard to read on this white, but that's okay. You can see he has a lot of robot kibble. He does have a lot of detail molded into the wings in the bottom half. The molding is actually under all the stickers here too. You just can't see it because of the stickers. It's literally the same mold as Generation 1. But if you notice, he's got like this flame deco, which is very, very stunt plane style, which I love that. I do like that about these guys. These guys pose as stunt planes, not, you know, active military vehicles. So I was a big fan of that. It's got the flame going on there with the number 3 on the back. And it's got his little thruster nozzles right here. Tail end. Do like it a lot. Big fan of this plane. Always have been. Let's do a quick little size comparison. Here he is next to a flip jet. This is my Ramjet. And next to a Sky Scorcher. And then next to a Cyberjet. Kind of gives you a bit of an idea. These guys were pretty much about the same size, which was great. If you look at the size comparison, they are pretty much spot on. Like, I like the fact that these were all kind of within scale. Yes, they're completely different transformations. Yes, they do completely different things, but I do like the fact that they were all more or less in scale. That's one thing I did like about the way these planes actually were designed. I was always a big fan of the aerial bots, and the aerial bots always have like a soft spot. But I always like the Generation 2 version, just because, you know, I'm a G2 guy, I'm really biased on that. But I always like the G2 colors. The colors just worked better for Superion, I think, than the G1. The G1 was way too bland for me. I don't know, it was just something about the color scheme was just too blah. Would have been better if they actually didn't go with white, if they would have made it all like an actual gray or something. But he does come with a little blaster, and he has the twin, like the little twin blaster. So if you're looking for these blasters, this is the twin one that comes with Fireflight. I have never been able to figure out a way to wedge this on him. Maybe you can just take the arm, swing it out, and then attach the gun that way if you wanted, you know, so that way you can store the gun in alt mode. But it is kind of funny. It's kind of like he's got a I don't know, some kind of prototype thing attached to him or something, but I mean, there is a way there to store the weapon in vehicle mode. It's the only way I've really been able to figure out how to do it. There's no place underneath here that will actually allow me to clip it. It would have been neat to see them, I don't know, widen this, or I don't know, somehow just have a hole cut out so that way it would actually just clip into the wing or something. That would have been neat. Unfortunately, they didn't. Now the stickers on mine, here on the back here, is trying to peel up. Very old. But decals on these guys were pre-applied. They did not come with a sticker sheet. So if you're looking for decals for these guys, you're probably never going to find them, because unless there's a guy I do know of that does stuff on eBay that does the G2 recolored decal, or not recolored, but they're kind of reproduction decals for them. That's not Toy Hacks, and I understand some people might not want to spend the money in some from Australia, but I mean, he's the only guy I've even seen that even has any Generation 2 decal reproductions, because these guys were all pre-applied stickers at the factory, so you did not get a sticker sheet. Kind of strange, considering in the 90s they were all about wild, crazy, extreme things. You would think they would just give us a sticker sheet so you can just go nuts with it, but they didn't. I find that kind of odd, but he has a really, really neat looking jet, and if you guys are looking for those kind of stickers, you can just look for the guy on eBay. He does have landing gear. Landing gear does fold up into the nose cone, which is cool. It's kind of funny though, because the peg hole here actually looks like landing gear too. So I mean, you don't even really necessarily have to use the landing gear. You can just set it down like that. But I mean, you can't really roll him unless you do this, which is funny, because if you do roll it, it's kind of the same height. So I don't know. Extra stability. This is like the thing with the aerial bots a lot of people don't understand is these guys were pre-production samples whenever Hasbro got hold of the Diaclone stuff. All the aerial bots, all the Stunticons, and even Metroplex, those were all pre-tooled, ready to go, but it was right before the whole takeover happened with Hasbro and Takara. But yeah, kind of crazy. Kind of makes me wonder what other little gimmicks they had in store for this stuff before Hasbro got hold of it and then turned them into an actual character. But anyway, that aside, go ahead and flip up the tail fin, and then you'll slide this back, and then you'll fold up his little wings, just like so. Nope. It's very stiff. Sometimes I have to. Thing is with these, if you get these guys and they're really stiff, just grab it here at the very base, so that way it doesn't snap the wing off. That's one thing you'll have to look out for when it comes to these style of transformers. Some of these guys are a little stiff, but you'll take his little hands, bring them out, and then you bring the whole nose cone back, and then it will connect just like so, and then there you go. Now his arms seem to be loose enough for me to be able to put them forward. Like skydive, or not skydive, but air raid. But then his weapon attaches. You can either attach it like this over his arm, like that, so that way it looks like he's holding the gun, or you can just do it sideways. And it's got like this clipping system, so kind of just slides over and clips. So I mean, you can make it so that way he kind of fires it like a null ray, like Starscream does, which is kind of cool. I don't mind that. I think it's kind of cool that he's got the ability to have his little weapon. And the weapons are really not necessary for Superion, but to be honest, we can play with the individual robot modes. They're really kind of useful. I've always been a fan of having the little weapons for the small robots because I like doing dioramas and such. But I'll give you a quick size comparison next to one of the flip jets. Bring the ramjet over here, and there you go. So you can tell he's a little short compared to air raids where his nose cone sticks up higher. Come on, stand up, man. Anyway. He wants to rock back and forth. But, you know, that's kind of, you know, the size comparison there. The other ones are good old Merman. Kind of gives you a bit of an idea how big he is compared to a figure like that. And then next to one of the reflector bots, which he's slightly shorter just because his nose cone kind of collapses behind him a little differently than air raids. And then, you know, obviously you guys are going to want to see him with air raid, so here he is next to air raid. Yeah, I think he's pretty neat. I do like it. These guys make kind of a cohesive thing. One thing about it, the silver that's actually on his legs that's all pre-applied. Same thing with his little fists. His fists are actually just painted silver as well. And good look at the head sculpt. It's got a really cool head sculpt. I've always loved the aerial bots' head sculpts. I always thought it was cool that they had this kind of, I don't know, this dome kind of thing going on here with the little horns. I always thought it was neat. But anyway, that is Fireflight. You guys tune in tomorrow and I'll show you guys another one. This has been Plasticon and this is me signing off. Peace out, you guys. See you around. That's it for now. Bye.